everyone, it's Miss Leah again, and we are back with Ell Jam Storytime. Today's book is called Sunshine, written by Ludwig Bemelmans. Here we go. The boy has a poodle, the girl a setter, and Mr. Sunshine is mailing a letter. The letter contains the text of an ad saying an apartment is to be had. And the ad says, two cheerful rooms with bath in a building that truly has atmosphere and old world charm. In summer cool, in winter warm, Venetian blinds, open fireplace, cross ventilation, ample closet space, refrigerator and hardwood floor. A lovely a lovely view. Bus stops at door. But the ceiling sagged and the hall was dark at 203 Gramercy Park. Mr. Sunshine hung up a sign and fell asleep until someone rang his bell. He got up from his soft seat and rushed out into the street. Go, he said with angry face. Go, look for some other place. I don't permit cats or doggies, people who have noisy hobbies, people with perambulators, people who keep alligators, artists, acrobats, or players, traveling salesmen or soothsayers. To all those and sundry I say, thank you kindly, go away. And so, for evident reasons, for several long seasons, the apartment at 203 was free of any tenantry. At last a feeble lady's voice inquired whether there was any noise or commotion in the neighborhood, and when he said no, she said, "Very good," and that she'd be there to see the charming apartment at 3:30. As Sunshine stood watching the clock, and sweet old lady came down the block. "Punctual," he said, "right on the dot. In a tenant that means an awful lot." "Bless me," said Sunshine, "here advances a lady in comfortable circumstances, an unattached female that pays the rent, year in, year out, to the last cent. Here comes indeed the perfect tenant, perhaps a Mayflower descendant." In front of the house she stopped and bent low. With a small whisk broom she cleared the snow, and then she fed the pigeons and starlings, and all her other feathered darlings. Quietly as a mouse she came into the house. "Oh," she said, "it's a perfect delight. It's awful homey. It's just right. It's exactly the kind of place I'd hoped to find. You may have a 5-year lease. I'm ready to sign it if you please. And here's a check for the first month's rent." "Dear madam," said Sunshine, "you're heaven sent." He did not know, the poor fool, that Miss Moore was running a music school. And here we see how Sunshine likes to be awakened by the stars and stripes. He dressed in haste and almost fell downstairs to the strains of "William Tell." Miss Moore was totally immersed in music whenever she rehearsed. "I advise you," said Sunshine, "to desist and cease, or I shall be forced to cancel your lease." She simply said, "Children, give it all you've got. I'm a patient man, I stand for a lot. But, madam," he said, "this is the last straw. I shall see you in a court of law." And after making all that fuss, he ran to catch a Fifth Avenue bus. He rushed to his lawyer and said, "George, will you please thoroughly examine this lease, and tell me how I can best rid myself of this awful pest?" The lawyer took his time and then he said, Sunshine, I'm very much afraid this is a perfectly good lease. Music does not disturb the peace. This is an unhappy hour. You underestimated the power of a woman whom no judge would dare to summon. My advice is, in your place, I would make up my mind to face the music, and if things don't improve, I counsel you to pack and move. Sunshine tried hard for a while to find another domicile, and he discovered that it was true that rents were high and places few. Here we behold the mean old grouch trying to sleep on his office couch. Miss Moore felt fine in the early hours, although the radio prophesied showers. She exclaimed, "Upon my soul, I've never owned a parasol." She finished her crumpet and then she drank a second cup of tea and went to the bank. She drew enough money for the rent and an additional sum to be spent for a varied assortment of prizes for good deportment. The sky turned suddenly gray as Miss Moore was on her way, and the rain began to fall as she came to an auctioneer's hall. Inside the hall a fellow held up an antique umbrella, and the voice of the auctioneer bellowed, "Please let me hear if any of you ladies and gents will offer me 10 cents." Miss Moore raised her right hand, and the man on the auction stand shouted, "Going, going, gone! Sold to the lady that stands there alone." Miss Moore paid and said, "Thank you so much. I had no idea that such bargains were still to be had. I'll be more glad to send a lot more people to your lovely store. And now I'll bid you good day." But he said, "There's a balance you have to pay." "Young man, explain that to me, please. There are 2,000 umbrellas at 10 cents apiece. They've been lost or found and have gone astray on the trains and stations of Manhattan subway." "Oh dear," said Miss Moore, this just about leaves me flat. It cleans me out. I'm sorry, dear lady. All I can say is you bid for the lot and you have to pay." And so that afternoon came a truck, and everyone on the block said, "Poor Miss Moore." And the neighborhood gossip, a woman named Hattie, observed, "The old girl must have gone batty." Miss Moore was totally immersed in umbrellas and music as she rehearsed. Sunshine said, "I'm glad at last to see you up a proverbial tree. I'm happy, Miss Moore, to let you know that the game is up and out you go. You came here under false pretenses. I must have been out of my senses. This will teach me a lesson I'll not forget. Pack up now, for this place is to let. Get out with your doggies and with your cats. Go rid my house of these noisy brats." Miss Moore just tapped with her baton and said, "In a moment, children will go on. My little friends, I'm very sorry." "Please don't any of you worry. We shall simply wait for rain and sell the old umbrellas again. We shall continue to occupy this place. The law gives us a few days' grace. With the Lord's help, we'll soon send Mr. Sunshine his overdue rent. Sunshine, sunshine, go away and come again some other day." In an answer to the powerful prayers one of the children who refused to stop, the sun was blotted out by layers of clouds and the sky gave up. Drain pipes gurgled, gutters choked, and the citizenry was soaked. The children left the house as the rain came down like out of a water main. The rain did not take pity on the mayor's reception committee. This customer is a United Nations delegate. The tall building is called the Empire State. It was windy, cold, and showery, and tough work down to the Bowery. Miss Moore ascended to Columbia Heights and sold umbrellas to Brooklynites. The last umbrella was sold in Astoria to a visitor who flew in from Peoria. After the downpour, Miss Moore suddenly was no longer poor. There was no more worry about the rent, and each child got a new instrument. They played in Central Park's mall and gave a concert in Carnegie Hall. And as the tree was lit up in the dark, they celebrated Christmas in Gramercy Park. And this song is O Holy Night. Late that night, a man came to the house. He muttered that he wasn't Santa Claus. "You'll never guess," he said, "who this is. I just came to wish you a Merry Christmas and to tell you that I feel like a heel. For months I haven't enjoyed a meal. And the thing that mostly grates me is that my own lawyer hates me." "But," pleaded Sunshine, "if I only could come back to this lovely neighborhood. I like doggies, birds, and cats. Oh, I'll even put up with rats. I've become immune to noises. I love little children's voices. And I certainly make no exceptions to concerts and musical selections." And so Miss Moore smiled quietly and told Mr. Sunshine to come in out of the cold. He thanked her as he knocked the sleet and snow from his frozen feet. The cat sat on his lap and purred with mirth. The dog lay at his feet, and peace was on earth. The end. And this book is called Sunshine, written by Ludwig Bemelmans. I really hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did, and I will see you next time at Ell Jam Storytime. Bye.